What is going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Afzal Hussain. You can find out a bit more about me through the social media links below, or you can check out my website, which is www.afzalhussain.com. On the back of this video, there's been a lot of demand from you guys asking me to do a video on CFA versus Masters, so comparing the Chartered Financial Analyst qualification to doing a master's degree. And so this is what we're going to be talking about in this video. First and foremost, the CFA, if you don't know much about the CFA, make sure you check out this video. I've done 3 videos on the CFA explaining what it is, how much it costs, and everything you need to really know about it. But first and foremost, when you're comparing the CFA to doing a master's degree, it's important to know that the CFA is comparably inexpensive to doing a master's. For example, you can do the CFA for less than £10,000. 3 different levels, all the exams, all the books, the studying, the courses, etc. You can get the qualification for less than £10,000. At most it will be around £12,000. Compare that to doing a master's degree in private equity or a master's degree in finance at a top tier university like the LSE or Imperial College London, Oxford or Cambridge. You're going to be spending at least £30,000 on the tuition fees. So immediately the CFA has that price advantage. It's comparably inexpensive to doing a master's. Secondly, what's important to consider when comparing the two is the time commitment. Now, a typical master's degree requires you to spend 1 year in full-time education, or you could do it over 2 years part-time. The CFA, on the other hand, you can do all 3 levels within 1.5 years at the fastest, and on average it takes around 2.5 years. So the CFA does take longer than doing a master's, but it's cheaper, and it's often the case where people are doing the CFA when they are starting their careers. So when they're at work, after they finish, they do revision, and early mornings they do revision. People do that for masters part-time, but you won't be doing a full-time masters when you're working your full-time job. Also, it's important to note that you can, if you've got the time, this is very rare, but you can start doing your CFA level 1 while you're at university. So if you realize, you've got the time and you're willing to commit, you can start doing your CFA whilst at university, as opposed to a master's. You can't do that when you're at university doing your undergrad degree. In terms of pros for the CFA compared to masters, doing a CFA anyone can do the CFA, like anyone can sign up for it, can register and sit the exams. Whereas when it comes to doing a master's in finance at a particular university, you need to be vetted through an application process, or that university needs to, select you, choose you. So there's an admissions process to doing a master's, and there isn't one for doing the CFA. So that's always good to know. Now, this is extremely important to be aware of. When you are studying the CFA, the content within the CFA is very, very focused heavily on investment analysis, portfolio management, corporate finance, asset allocation. All of the content, or the large part of the content within the CFA, is very focused on investing in the financial markets, how to be an ethical and good investor. Whereas when you're studying a master's degree, it covers a broad range of topics. So it touches on the private equity industry, it touches on what asset management is, what is M&A. So doing a master's in finance does touch on some of the topics within the CFA, so asset allocation, corporate finance. But the thing about a master's, it doesn't go as deep as the CFA in actually becoming an investment professional, knowing how to analyze different metrics, using financial accounting, using different ratios. All of the nitty-gritty the CFA will go deeper into, and the master's degree doesn't go as deep. It gives a general overview of lots of different sectors and industries. In-depth investing knowledge, CFA, and broad knowledge, masters. So that's something to keep aware of. One thing to note is that a master's degree, I kind of see it as like, on your CV, you've got your GCSEs and your A-levels and then your uni degree, and then you start in the world of work, and all of that kind of loses its relevance over time. So right now you won't put your GCSEs if you've worked in the industry for a few years. You might start at your A-levels in terms of education, so the GCSEs die out. Personally, I feel like that is the same for a master's. After you've done 5 or 10 years, your master's becomes irrelevant. But what does stand out is a CFA. So if you have your CFA, it shows a commitment to the industry, to financial knowledge, and so it shows anyone that sees that you have the CFA, it shows them or tells them, all right, this person has a strong base level understanding of investing concepts, and that I feel stands out more than a master's in finance. It's heavily regarded in the industry, specifically or particularly in asset management, private banking, investing professions or investing roles across hedge funds, not so much in investment banking. Now, within investment banking, you're doing a lot of financial modeling, you're doing discounted cash flows, leverage buyouts, you're doing a lot of valuation techniques, you're using Excel to create models to value companies. Now, none of that is covered in the CFA. So if you want to do the CFA to go into investment banking, the two don't really tie up as well as you might have thought so. And so most professionals that do the CFA tend to go into investment management, so asset management, private banking, those type of careers. And a lot of students or graduates who have a master's degree in finance tend to go to investment banking roles where you are valuing companies, working in debt capital markets, equity capital markets, raising finance for companies. And so yeah, if you're thinking of CFA to get into investment banking, it's less common, you don't need it. Also, a lot of people within the investment banking division of a bank don't have the CFA. It's more common for those people in research roles, in portfolio management roles, in asset management to have the CFA, because the CFA gives you that investing knowledge that you need in those roles and not so much in an investment banking role. However, some people within the investment banking division of an investment bank do the CFA, and they take that on board, they take that on top of their 16, 17, 18 hour shifts. And if they manage to get the CFA designation and pass all 3 levels, people respect that. It shows they're doing IBD, they're doing like 100-hour weeks, and they still manage to do the CFA, which is like a 300-hour commitment per level, and there's 3 levels. So it's well respected, but it doesn't add so much to the role compared to investment management roles. So that's very important to be aware of. Just to add on that, so you can say to some extent that doing the CFA is more important for getting into buy-side roles and less so to sell-side roles. If you want to know the difference between buy-side and sell-side, make sure you check this video. It will tell you everything you need to know. And masters in general tend to go into investment banking division more so than other divisions, although there are a lot of students who do masters in private equity, finance, economics, whatever it is, and go into asset management, consulting, accounting and finance roles, professional services, investment banking. Also, to keep in mind, once you do a master's, so this is a benefit of doing a master's over the CFA, once you do the master's, you get your distinction or merit, whatever it is, that's yours forever to keep, that's it. However, compare that to the CFA. If you pass all 3 levels of the CFA and you've got 4 years of work experience, then you could put the letter CFA next to your name. However, every year there's an annual membership which you need to pay. I think it's like £200 to £400. Usually your organization or your company pays for it, but it's something to keep in mind. Every year you need to renew it, so it's an ongoing cost. Having said that, a master's does have a steeper initial cost of about 30 grand plus if you're doing it at a top uni in London, and the initial cost of the CFA is a third or less than a third of doing a master's at, for example, the LSE. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the CFA versus the Masters. If you want me to do a video comparing doing an MBA versus the CFA, leave a comment below saying MBA versus CFA and I will make that video in due course. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and if you aren't already, do consider subscribing to the channel. Turn on the bell wherever it is to turn on post notifications, so every time I release a video you get notified. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions, leave them in the comments below, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace. I've been meaning to do a 10k celebration video. A lot of you have asked for it on my Instagram, and so I thought, okay, I'll do that in due course. But in order to do that, I thought, because a lot of the audience want to kind of get to know me, get to know a bit about my background, whether it's my upbringing, whether it's what I do for a living, why I decided to leave the world of investment management, banking and finance and start my own company, what I do, anything and everything apart from the questions that I answer through the video. So if you want to send through any questions to find out a bit more about me, any questions that you have, leave them in the comments below on this video and any of the other videos, and I will compile them and answer the best questions to celebrate reaching 10k subscribers. Thank you once again for 10k subscribers, and I will be doing the Q&A video soon. So yeah, leave your comments below and you can ask me anything you want. I look forward to your questions.